Eating a budding snack, culture. Sitting out on the front porch with a cold beverage in hand, swiping the flies from your face during a blazing hot summer, culture. Ridiculous idioms and sentences people from other countries wouldn't understand, you know? Culture. But wait, what is culture? While most of my Australian counterparts would identify with some of these points, culture runs by a various number of definitions. So for the purpose of this video, let's clarify. Now, I'm by no means an anthropologist, though generally when we look at geographical culture, it relates to a particular set of customs and characteristics of a certain group from a certain area, their attitudes, values, conventions, or social practices. Be these societal norms, religious practices, or how the population interacts within itself and its global community. While there may be some stereotypes that we attribute to different global cultures, in reality, no one fits those shoes. No, unfortunately, we don't ride kangaroos to school here down under, or have koalas and emus as pets. Though yes, there are most certainly a lot of spiders, snakes, and bugs that become temporary housemates in the various corners of your home. Culture involves events that are celebrated, ones I'm sure many of you are familiar with, of Christmas and Easter, though there are also many others that span a global to a more localized reach. Of the Arab world, Ramadan, Hanukkah for the Jewish, Lunar New Year in East Asia, Day of the Dead in the Central Americas, specifically Mexico, Midsummer festivals from the Nordic countries, as well as many variations of independence and national days to monarchies and workers. Culture also incorporates its various unique sporting events, from sumo wrestling in Japan, AFL in Australia, American football, to more generalized sports which span across many different countries, from football to cycling, cross-country skiing, ski jumping to beach volleyball. It's clear that location and climate influence the activities that a population can engage in and are sometimes limited to. It's very hard for us to go skiing if you live here in Northern Australia. Though it's important to consider how these geographical differences influence culture, for example its play on fashion and clothing. Most people are familiar with the Hawaiian type of dress that is common to beach regions, board shorts and thongs. Perhaps even within cultures, rural and city wear changes for its functionality. There are also traditional clothing styles that pay homage to an established line of dress, which represents a link to a culture's past and conventions. Kilts in Scotland, to more common traditional wear of the sari in India and the turbans of Arabia. Food is another major representation of what people first think of when they hear the word culture. I'm sure many are familiar with the pizzas of Italy, croissants of France, pretzels of Germany, curries of India, and tacos of Mexico. Though local culture spans more than just these popularized food and dishes to the entirety of their cuisines, food tastes that develop through the availability of meat, plant life, and spices. A culture's architecture, especially in ancient times, is also impacted and shaped through the availability of building materials and the technologies of the era. Their designs built in prestige to honor their rulers, their gods, and as a sign of authority or for their functionality. One may suggest that we have lost this design element within our modernized cities, though like architecture, culture develops and changes over time, aspects of which a traditionalist may try to preserve, a progressive alter, and what results a mix of the two as the information and technology available to the population changes over time. Not everything about technological advancement changes culture, but rather the method in which it is expressed. It also changes the way in which we share culture and can open up some previously hidden traits to potential criticism. When exploring culture, it's important to note its overarching macro traits and how its micro elements equate to it. Think about how you play a role in your culture. What attributes and traits do you bring forward? For what is the sum of a whole, but the sum of its parts? The sum of you. We will touch on more aspects of culture in a future video series, and I hope through it you can learn something new and about someone too. Until next time, catch ya.